We're counting down the 10 weirdest signs that might prove your brain runs on ADHD mode. From vanishing objects and time-blind moments to midnight energy surges and emotions that hit like a truck, these clues reveal what most people never realize about daily life with ADHD. Which symptom will explain your entire life? Let's find out, starting with number 10. You set your keys down for a second, and they might as well have vanished into thin air. A text message comes in, you answer, and the entire conversation disappears the moment you close the app. Even things you bought twice because the first one stopped existing the second you put it away. Dr. Russell Barkley calls this a working memory glitch. For people with ADHD, if something isn't right in front of you, your brain drops it like a forgotten tab. It's not carelessness. It's a wiring difference that makes invisible things impossible to track. That's why sticky notes, key hooks, and reminders aren't just helpful, they're survival tools. Staring at a menu, your brain runs through every option like it's solving a math problem. People around you have already ordered, and you are still stuck, weighing every outcome as if dinner is a high-stakes decision. Even picking a show on Netflix can feel like a marathon, scrolling, second-guessing, and ending up too tired to watch anything. Brain imaging studies reveal the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for filtering choices and making decisions, works differently in ADHD. Every tiny decision drains your mental battery, turning simple choices into exhausting mental gymnastics. It's not indecisiveness. It's your executive filter working overtime. When the world is winding down, your brain is just getting started. At midnight, ideas flow and energy spikes, but when the alarm rings in the morning, it feels like a punch to the gut. No matter how many sleep tips you try, your body refuses to follow the 9-to-5 script. Research shows that about 75% of adults with ADHD have a delayed circadian rhythm. Their internal clock runs about an hour and a half behind. Melatonin, the hormone that signals bedtime, shows up late, leaving you wide awake while everyone else sleeps. Early mornings feel like jet lag every single day. You walk into a room with a purpose, but the second your foot crosses the doorway, your mind is a blank slate. That urgent thought, grab the scissors, check your calendar, pick up the package, vanishes in the middle of a step. You try to retrace your path, hoping something will jog your memory, but nothing clicks until a random object brings it all back. It is not just a quirk. Studies show that between 30 and 85% of adults with ADHD have working memory problems this severe. Everyday moments like losing your train of thought or blanking on a question are part of this pattern. Your brain is juggling too much at once, and the thread just slips away. You sit down to check one email, and suddenly it's dark outside. Hours slip by in a blur, your phone is full of missed messages, and your stomach is growling because you forgot to eat again. For most people, zoning out like this is rare, but for adults with ADHD, it is a regular part of life. This deep tunnel vision is called hyperfocus, and it is not just getting lost in a good book or a game, it is your brain locking onto something interesting so completely that everything else, including sleep, hunger, or even a full bladder, fades into the background. In a recent study, about 68% of adults with ADHD reported these hyperfocus episodes. The catch is this: you can't choose when it happens or make it stop. What looks like superhuman concentration from the outside can actually mean missed meals, forgotten plans, or hours lost to a single project. It is not a sign of laziness or lack of discipline. It is the other side of the ADHD attention coin. You spend all day wrestling with a task that someone else breezes through in an hour. By mid-morning, your brain already feels fried, not from slacking off, but from running mental obstacle courses just to stay on track. What looks like procrastination on the outside is actually a marathon of restarts, lost threads, and redoing work that did not stick the first time. Large workplace studies show that adults with ADHD lose a significant slice of their work capacity each year, not just through missed days, but through hours spent fighting distractions and trying to organize chaos. Most of this loss is hidden. Presenteeism is when you are physically present, but your mind is burning 3 times the energy to finish what others find simple. It is not about motivation or effort. It is the invisible tax of executive overload, paid out in weeks of lost progress every year. Time slips through your fingers in ways that defy logic. You sit down to answer a quick email, glance up, and half the afternoon has evaporated. Then, waiting in line at the bank, 5 minutes can stretch into what feels like an hour. For people with ADHD, this is not just a quirky sense of impatience, it is a core difference in how the brain tracks time. Dr. Russell Barkley describes it as the 30% rule. Brain scans back this up, showing that the networks responsible for estimating and planning time mature more slowly in ADHD, sometimes lagging 3 to 5 years behind. That's why deadlines sneak up, appointments vanish from memory, and the future feels like an abstract idea until it is suddenly right in front of you. It is not a matter of willpower, it is the way your brain experiences the flow of time itself. A single offhand comment can echo in your mind for days. Someone points out a mistake, and suddenly your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral, and every positive thing you have done fades to the background. It is not just being sensitive. Your brain is wired to feel rejection and criticism like a punch. For many adults with ADHD, this is not rare. Meta-analyses show that between 34 and 70% experience emotional dysregulation severe enough to disrupt daily life. That means your feelings do not just flicker, they surge and crash, often 2 to 3 times more intensely than people around you. A memory of embarrassment from years ago can feel as raw as if it happened this morning. Neuroimaging studies reveal that the circuits connecting emotional centers in the brain, like the limbic system, react differently in ADHD, making it harder to hit the brakes on big feelings. This is not overreacting or being dramatic. It is a real neurobiological difference that explains why small criticisms can feel overwhelming and why emotional pain can linger long after the moment has passed. You stare at a boring form or spreadsheet, and your whole body feels like it is glued to the chair. You know exactly what needs to be done, but every cell in your brain is screaming to do anything else. Scroll, snack, reorganize your desk, start a new project you will never finish. For people with ADHD, this is not laziness or lack of willpower. It is biology. Brain imaging studies show that the dopamine-based reward circuits, the same ones that make you feel motivated or excited, work differently in ADHD, especially in the brain's motivation centers. When a task feels pointless or dull, your brain barely registers a reward signal, so there is no chemical push to get started. That is why starting something boring can feel almost physically painful, even when the consequences are huge. You might launch into dozens of projects when inspiration strikes, but finishing, or even beginning, a task that does not spark interest can feel impossible. This chemical mismatch explains why motivation is not just a matter of trying harder. For an ADHD brain, the real work is finding a reason to begin. For years, you heard the same story: too lazy, too distracted, not living up to your potential. Teachers wrote it on your report cards. Parents wondered why you could not just try harder. Deep down, you started to believe something was broken inside you. For women and girls, the story often played out in silence. Daydreamers who got good grades by working twice as hard, people pleasers who hid their struggles behind perfect manners. These are not personal failures. They are the invisible signs of an ADHD brain that flew under the radar. According to CDC data, 61% of women with ADHD are not diagnosed until adulthood, compared to 40% of men. That means most women spend decades masking symptoms, often being treated for anxiety or depression instead. The numbers tell the rest. Nearly half of adults with ADHD also battle anxiety, and about 30% are diagnosed with depression. Living with undiagnosed ADHD means carrying years of self-doubt, shame, and exhaustion. But recognizing the pattern is the first step toward rewriting that story. When you finally get the right explanation, it is not about blame. It is about understanding how your brain works and finally giving yourself permission to find real solutions. Across all 10 signs, one pattern stands out. ADHD is not invisible. It reshapes time, memory, motivation, and emotion in ways most people never see. Understanding these differences is not about blame. It is about unlocking the right support. Neurodiversity is not broken. It is just a different way of being human.